Hello, welcome to another episode of the Toronto Ultra podcast. Toronto Ultra Merc and Maven podcast. I left us out of that one, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Maeve.
Deepest apologies.
Lock it in, Maeve. We have a special guest.
We do. Very, very special due to his sex appeal. Trey, I also just want to know, did you break into someone's apartment for this episode?
No, listen. Listen, it looks
He's doing a world tour. He just told us.
Exactly, world tour. You know, anywhere but nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the cops ever needed to find me, I'd be untraceable. You know what I'm saying? No, this is a playground for the cats. This is just where I stream, and then I go that way, and I go sleep, and then rerun the day. Just keep repeating.
I love that.
When I move, I'll be the same way. I'm gonna have like nothing. There'll be no decorations, like barely any furniture. I'm gonna have a bed. I'm gonna have my setup and a television. I'm good.
That's all you need.
That is all he needs.
That's life's necessity. Yeah, even that. You know, we'll figure it out.
Do you cook, Trey? Do you cook food at all?
I can. Do I know?
Okay.
That's I feel like that's what everyone says,
Fair.
just to make themselves sound like more appealing to females and stuff like that. You know, they're like, oh, can you cook? Yeah, of course I can. But no, I can actually cook. My dad used to be a chef. He taught me a few things. So.
See, Clint can't cook. I don't think. If you could make a signature meal, Maeve, what would it be? If I was like, cook me your favorite meal to cook, what do you think you'd cook?
Listen, I make some incredible ramen noodles, bro. Just some crushed red peps in there. I'm talking about like the 25-cent packs, bro. But trust me, I make it godlike. Everyone in college, I'd make it for my friends because I was just exceptional. But no, I've never cooked ever, Joe. Yeah,
I know. That's what we'll take care of you.
It's partially your fault too.
Wait, do you
cook? My fault. I can cook. Yeah, I can cook.
A signature meal. Your wife wants a meal. You know, she's like, Joe, cook me my meal. What you cooking?
I have like a spicy chicken taco recipe. I make like chicken thighs. I have a really good marinade. I mean, the grill's always easy as well. Good steak. Make a nice steak salad, fresh in the summer. We just had that last night, so I got a couple of those. But that's probably right now what I go with.
I can do tacos and fucking steaks. I just can't make like a gourmet. Like I can't make the actual meals, but I can do those things.
We'll see.
I used to make homemade tacos all the time. And I used to have it a long time because I'd make like several pounds of meat and I just would eat tacos every day for several days.
I don't know if that counts, but I'm with it. I'm with it. You're right.
As long as you're not starving, Clint, that's what that matters, buddy.
Yeah, as long as you're alive, you're living. You're living. Okay, Trey.
As long as you're alive, you're living. Yeah, well.
That's a good point. This has kind of flown under the radar, but another one has joined the retirement home.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
So we brought him on today. Thank you for taking time out of your day and joining us. I'm very sad to see you retire, Trey. I am.
Did I want to? No. Do I think I can still play? Yes. I genuinely still believe I'm like a top AR or whatever you want to say. I genuinely believe I am, but the CDL really, really screwed me over. In terms of if you look at like the CWL compared to like my CWL career compared to my CDL career, it was just like the CDL career has just been like me getting benched, visa issues, like, and just a bunch of like team issues and stuff like that. Like I was just fighting an uphill battle every single time. And I just really wasn't feeling it. You know, I'm 25, literally about to turn 26 in like 2 weeks. So I felt like now was the best time to hang it up and genuinely see where like I can go without competing, because I feel like I can do a bunch of things in terms of like content, coaching. I really do want to coach. I really feel like I could be a good coach. I've pretty much coached my whole career in terms of like when younger players come through, IGLing and stuff like that. So I feel like I could really help like young talent come through and actually help them develop into something they could truly think they can become and better. So that's why I done it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're gonna dive more into sort of the past couple of years that have been tough, and
I just wanted to update the people because
it's
kind of flown under the radar. A legend, another one.
No, without question, it's just probably just because like the same thing happened. All the Rostermania, it's just been in the midst of like a lot of rumors and shit circulating. But like with Sam, we had him on and we'd already done like kind of a career episode with him. So we dove right into the retirement. Since we're having you on for the first time, I kind of want to, go through some of the big moments, the ups and downs, chat your career, and then sort of get into the what's next. But yeah, well, we'll talk about, I know these past couple of years have been fucking tough, I'm sure. So we'll chat about that quite a bit. But I want to start at the beginning kind of. We ask every guest, how did you get into it? Like the competitive side of Call of Duty, like, how young were you? What COD? What first sparked that interest?
First COD that really sparked my interest was Black Ops 2. And I feel like everyone has the same answer when they're young coming up. It was all Optic and nature. Like, you look at the way they were running things back then. They had a team house and stuff like that. And that's like truly what everyone wanted to do, And even they weren't doing it like they done it now, or like companies are doing it now. It was a very niche thing. I feel like it was only Optic and Envy that really had a house, proper team house. I started playing game battles back in MW3, so I've been playing for a while. And then Black Ops 2 was when I was like watching Optic, and then I watched the aftermath where Seth popped some crazy P's and stuff like that, and I was like, that's cool. Did I ever think I was gonna get into it like the way I have? No, like that's just one of those things that like life takes you on those journeys, you know what I'm saying? You can never like plan for stuff like that, which is crazy. So
were you already playing like when you first saw like Nade and Scump and stuff, were you already dabbling in GBs? Like you already dabbled in the competitive side a little bit, or were you still like,
I dabbled in GBs and MW3, and then when Black Ops 2 came out, I had a friend called Sergeant Moose, and me and him
he was probably a fucking demon.
I wish his name was Sergeant Moose Knuckle. It'd be way better.
Bro, me and him, that's my boy. I still speak to him to this day. We used to play like Black Ops 2 League play all the time. Mm-hmm. I was the only person I ever played with. We tried like making a team and stuff like that, but we were young. We didn't know what the hell was going on. We just watched like other people play, and we played ranked play, and that was where like the spark for like playing and competing really came through, because no one likes losing, but like ranked play was a different demon back there. The game chat, the whole like everyone's watching the same people doing the same thing, and being from like Europe and the UK and stuff like that, it's so hard to get like an opportunity. Like, so no one really competed like that back then, apart from like Shane and stuff like that, like all the Epsilon boys, like the OGs. So, and even then I didn't know them. I knew, but I was watching nature before I even knew who the hell like the UK legends were,
That's kind of wild, actually. I mean, it makes sense. Like if you're just on Twitch or whatever and YouTube, see them first, but that's kind of wild. Like they were that big. You kind of got eyes on that before even knowing some of the local legends.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, like when I actually like fought back on it, like Optic were generally like the first team that I actually like paid attention to.
That was when we went over to Blackpool,
Yeah.
Dominated over there.
Don't even get me started on Blackpool now.
You don't like it?
Who does? I don't think the people that live there like it.
I could still never believe that's the first place I went over there.
Bro, and then like I remember I went back there and they were like, yeah, it's refurbished. And I'm like, all right, bet this is going to look like a nice new place. It was terrible. It's still
the town was refurbished?
No, the Norbrick.
Oh, that hotel that we talked about.
Yeah, the infamous Norbrick, yeah.
I I'm proposing there. It just sounds, you guys have talked about it so beautifully. I'm going to propose there. It'll be a curveball.
I don't think
there was two food shops. The only two food shops like right next to the venue was a sandwich shop and a Chinese shop. And anytime you went there, it was guaranteed like stomach issues. But you always went there because it was the only thing left.
Mm-hmm. There was a fish and chip shop too, I think.
Oh,
the only other one.
That place is genuinely like that's what hell would look like if it weren't red,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting, but that's crazy.
I want to go so bad. It sounds awesome.
Just the way we talk about it, yeah. I mean, listen, it is like I don't even know what to compare it to in the States. Probably like a way worse version of like Atlantic City, like way worse, like way worse, because it used to be like popping, and people would go there for vacation and stuff, kind of like Atlantic City. But now I think it's just down, and it's the other way. It's just way.
It's like gloomy, you know, like that's what I'm saying. It's like hell if hell wasn't red. Like it's just gloomy. No one wants to be there. Even if it's sunny, I still feel like it's dead. You know, it's still gloomy. No one likes it. Maybe
and I don't even know.
Like
I've never even been to Atlantic City.
Yeah.
This is just kind of what I'm just
you
taking a guess.
You only went there a few times too.
Yeah,
I went there a bunch in college. The last time I went, it was me and 3 of my boys, and we got way too hammered, and then realized like we didn't get a hotel, and we ended up sleeping on a beach illegally. And I woke up, a crab's crawled on my face.
Jesus Christ!
Wow,
that's the most Clint thing I've ever heard. Actually, I actually believe that.
I just remember. I
Dude, he needs to write a
arguing with
book.
I remember arguing with my buddy, like we were fucking just not in a good place. And we're just arguing about like Dirk Nowitzki versus Larry Bird, bro, for like hours. It's like 5 a.m. We're arguing on the beach, bro.
Why do you remember that?
Because we were arguing for hours. I don't know.
Look, oh yeah. Anyways, we're gonna lock it back in. All right,
Yeah.
where were we? What were we talking about?
Blackpool,
Oh, yeah.
how legendary it is. But all right, so
figuring out where he started, right?
Yeah. So you you saw the Optic guys, you started to learn more about the local stuff. In Black Ops 2, you got into it, but like it looks like your kind of competitive career, at least when it started getting recorded and stuff, was AW, right? Where you really started to dabble.
Yeah, AW was like when I first like properly decided like to come over because I was a PlayStation kid. I never owned an Xbox, so competitive was all on Xbox, and then I was playing like EGLs, like the free cups on the Sundays, and I used to win them all, like with my team, and it was me, Blakey, Madness, and Russell. Like that was my team. And one day I said to him, I was like, "Yo, let's go over to Xbox. Let's buy an Xbox One, go over there and play like a Gfinity tournament, stuff like that." You know, that's a big like jump for people that didn't work or anything like that. You know, it's like it's like $300-$400 for an Xbox One and stuff like that. So we went over. Signed up for like our first GFIN tournament, and it was either the first or second one we won, and it was against like all the pros too. Like we're talking like Hawkeye, like Orbit back then were like the best online team. We beat them in the finals, and that's when my name started getting out there. And I wasn't even called Zero at the time. I was called Obey Demise. So that's what
Demise. Let's
but
baby.
Obey was spelled OBAE. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a different flavor. Yeah. You
So
know,
it's like Old Bay, like seasoning.
It's like the beach, dude. The bay.
Yeah, so that's the way I spelled it, and that's when like we started playing with like that's how like Marky B, Moose, and all those people started like getting to know us and started playing with us a lot more, and then in AW that's when I like actually came through, but like I didn't start playing with them until like way more in there because I was working a lot. I had a lot going on, like finishing college, working.
Yeah, it looked like you got involved pretty late, and well, you kind of already answered one of my questions. I was going to kind of ask, like, what was the moment that you kind of your first like big team was Team Infused with Urban, Marky B, PB probably, and like I was like, how did you even like get on that goddamn team? But yeah, probably.
No, it was it was actually crazy how I got on that team. To be honest with you, so
you look pretty good there. You look good.
Someone. Oh,
I stabbed someone.
You said crazy. I don't know.
You've aged very well. You've aged very well.
Thank you. I feel like
Marky too.
Oh yeah, no, Mark looked terrible back then. Like terrible. Like I love him. Terrible.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I think we all had a moment gaming because.
Well, you see, the funny thing about that picture is I asked for a large jersey and that was a medium. That's why it looks like that. That's why I look like a fridge. Yeah, I look like I'm built. I look like I'm built there, but really I'm not. I'm just like I'm like doing that, like just so I can actually like so the jersey doesn't pop up and you see my belly, you know.
Yeah, little belly shirt.
Rush off the rugby field and into the tourney.
But the reason I got on that team, so we had was it called Worlds back then, the New Orleans event?
Yeah, Worlds.
Yes, it's in the Worlds, right?
So it was something to do with like someone didn't have enough. It was Bance actually. That's even the funnier thing. They wanted to pick up Bance, I'm pretty sure, over me because of pro points. They didn't know if I'd have enough pro points to even like be able to attend. And so I was just sat there, and it was like a big thing for me because this would be my first pro team besides Epsilon. Let's not even get into that one because that was just dumb. That was a whole like I joined that team. They came back from America, and we were playing with Reedy, and then Reedy one day just left the game mid map and was like, and just told Swanee and Shane, he was like, yeah, I don't like Trey, I don't think he's good, I don't think he's gonna I don't want to play with him, I think he's ass. And I was
Well,
like,
that went opposite directions. Thankfully, I guess for you.
And I was like, yo, am I really that bad? Like, I don't feel like I am. I feel like I'm doing really good, but
I'm just hearing that in Reedy's voice and like, fuck.
so he went and joined Epsilon. He went to join Millennium for like, he made a bag, won an event and whatever. So, I can't, hate that. But the Infused thing, I actually love that team. That's probably one of my favorite teams, just because it's your first team. You got Urban on there, who was pretty much in the same situation as me. He's actually the reason I became pro. He's the reason that I got a vouch for Epsilon. I was at work working like 15-hour days with my dad in the summer, and I got a random call from a random number. And I'm like, all right, who's calling me? I answer it. All I hear is, "All right, geezer." I was like, who the hell is this? It's Shane. It's Shane. I'm like, yo, who's this? He's like, it's Shane, Shambles. I'm like, what do you want? He was like, well, we'll come back from America. We want to pick you up. I was like, oh, what? He's like, yeah, we want to play with you on Epsilon. I was like, nah, this ain't true. This ain't true. He was like, yeah, come home. We got a G-Fin to play. I'm like, nah, I can't. Like, I was like, yeah, no, I'll get back. Don't worry about it. I'll get back. And I have to go. I'm sprinting across the yard to go see my dad. I'm like scared because I'm like, yo, I gotta tell my dad I want to quit and stuff like that. And he's like, he looks at me and he's like, I'm like, Dad, I got an issue. He's like, what? He's like, I'm like, I just got offered by a pro team to go play for him, and I need to be home in 30 minutes. And I'm thinking, oh, he's going to say no, like he thinks it's a stupid idea or whatever. He grabs his keys, rings his boss, and goes, listen, I'm done for the day. I got to go.
Oh,
Drops
that's
me
awesome.
home. He drops me home. He drops me home, and that is the end. That's like the start of where it all happened.
That's amazing. That he just dropped the hat. You were so scared, like they just supported you and said, send it. That's awesome.
Yeah. My mum and dad have always been like really supportive of me. The only thing they said was like when I first started was like, because I said like I'm not gonna work or anything like that. The money's not great. We were making on Infused, we were making £100 a month. While every other team in the league was making like 1.5k a month. So, I wasn't making any money, but their one promise to me was that they're gonna give me a year regardless. They'll pay for whatever I need to pay for, and like if I don't start making some money in it within the year, they don't want me to do it. So they gave me a year to do it, and I done it.
Well, at least it's like a bit of support, and like a foot in the door, and sort of get started. I mean,
oh yeah, no, they've been great. They didn't have the greatest life of themselves growing up, so they made sure they gave it all to their like sons and stuff like that. So I'll be forever in debt to those.
Yeah, I mean, just the kind of the hardest part for a lot of people is just that first step, and it seems like it was kind of fucking random and lucky, but whatever. It's a step into it. But like, all right, you start getting deeper into AW. What you got? You were talking about Worlds. You got like top 12 at that. You won like EGL 14 Blackpool.
Oh, you won Blackpool as well. Your fellow Blackpool champion. My God, EGL 14. Let's get it.
I think I won 2 Blackpools. Actually, no, definitely.
Oh, wonderful.
There's no way. No, that Worlds thing. Oh my God. We go there. We play Optic on Friday. We lose last map 6-5.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like that was the one, you beat Optic an event, like that's your come up,
Yeah, but you lose cash probably. You probably get like top 6 or something, top 4. PE plants the bomb in the wrong spot, and we lose the map because of it. You still remember?
Listen. That is so engraved in my brain. It's not even funny.
I love hearing it. Just every single person we have on, they have a memory, and they just remember every little thing from some tournament.
I remember some of the most like stupid stuff that's happened to me. I feel like I've had one of the most unluckiest careers ever. It's not even like I've had a good one, but it's been so unlucky, and we can like delve way more into that, and you can decide for yourselves too. But trust me, it's not even. Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into it later. But I remember like the hard point tie, like all those like double best of 5s. Like, there's been some stuff, shit. Yeah.
The Black Ops 4 with LG when we killed him off point, but he grabbed
control.
Yeah, and then they silent patched it after the event.
Oh, so that was versus you. Yeah, I didn't know that. Oh man.
No, it's been like really and truthfully. When I say I'm like, I've had one of the most unluckiest careers. People are just like, oh, he's just saying it. He's just no. It's been crazy.
I totally, that was a big, dude, that was a shitstorm on social.
That was
Like,
yeah.
I forgot about it until now, but yeah, that was a fucking shit show.
Dude, I'll never forget that poor Rami. I mean, I know you had a very good relationship with us because we were working. I was in league ops at the time, and that moment, I was like, no. I was arguing like for you guys. I was like, there's no way, but like I kind of get it now. You kind of had to go with the game. Like it's tough.
That was their call, right? Like that was the game's call. That's our call.
Yeah. It's like that whatever's on your screen is like the result. Like that was that's the rule.
Yeah, just then every single one is like a different situation type thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
well,
that's what they went with.
Before we get to when it starts to be a bit of a shit show, we'll get to some of the good.
We had good moments.
We did. Let's start.
It gets a lot of the good moments for like things get real wild later in that.
It started like that.
Yeah. So you had that team with Urban, Marky B, and PD with Team Infused. Your first big team. At the end of Advanced Warfare, you started pretty late. Now you had a couple of decent finishes, and then Black Ops 3. You guys, you stuck with the same lineup, right? Stayed with Infused, and this just for people at home. At the beginning of the CWL, how it worked, just if you're not aware, like we had separate divisions. There was APAC, there was EU, there were North America, and they all had their separate online leagues, and it was set up. So it was supposed to be like COD was on for like 24 hours, basically. Like matches would play in Australia, then EU, or North America, then EU. Like it was kind of cool, but it was all separated. So the competition was a bit wonky that year because there wasn't a whole lot of. There was only 2 tournaments, right, where teams competed against each other.
International.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the 2 MLG events and then champs. That was it.
So 3. Yeah. So 3.
Black Ops 3 is definitely a year where there was a lot of.
Yeah, it was like a cool concept, but it was just weird. Yeah, it was just like a weird year. Like I kind of like the whole people have their own leagues and it's on kind of over a course of a day, but it was just sort of not what we've had for a long time, which is everyone kind of battling each other.
Even before that, there was this international competition and we just went away. It was a weird year. For sure.
No, it definitely was. I blame Drake. So let's talk about kind of that year for you. So again, this is like you against EU competition. You had, I think the ones that stood out when I looked through it was like you had second at stage 2 was a big one. You got a top 6 at Anaheim, which I imagine just Anaheim and being a international event, that was a pretty fucking awesome moment. I would think.
Yeah, you look at that year as like I look at that year as like my start of the year, and I feel like that's a pretty good like start. We can't compare it to like the Sim Sabeezys and all that and whatever like that. We're dealing with me coming through as a European, coming into like pretty high competition back then too. We got the dynasties and stuff like that. So for my start of the come up year, I was actually very happy with that. That second at the playoffs was against Ben Bance. And that was a fun one too because that's when like mine and his I feel like that's what because we have like a friendly rivalry. That's like my best friend, so we have like a funny rivalry about that. But that whole thing was like we couldn't beat Millennium, and then Millennium couldn't beat Splyce, and then Splyce couldn't beat us. It was like weird 3-way thing that like just makes no sense.
Like a matchup thing.
Yeah, and it's that's the one where we had that massive grueler of a series versus them. Like game 7, like we were down like 5-1 or 5-2, and we won 6-5, and it's like that was like the start of like where we knew like we were like we could do something good. But for my first year, I actually felt like I really enjoyed it as well. Like see it like going places and stuff like that, and then just being with that team too. Like it's a fun team. Like Mark's a great like mentor and actually like someone to have by your side. And he he was the funniest teammate I think I've had. Actually, like I feel like he is because he doesn't mean to be, and I feel like those people are the funniest people. We played at champs versus the Australians, and they were using silence Razorbacks and smokes on uplink. And Pete died to one of the guys using the silence Razorback, and I was like, Pete, where is he? And he starts going, and I get killed. I get killed. We get 2-piece, 3-piece, and they get a 2. And I literally sat there and screamed at him like on the stage. I was like, Pete, can you stop fucking using your words, bro? Because this is unacceptable. And everyone just goes silent. We just start going hard, and we just smoke them. But Urban as well. Like I owe a lot of things to Urban. Like that guy really did help me out. He was the one that put my name forward to Shane and stuff like that to get me actually like coming through. So that's why I got a lot of respect for all that team. And then obviously Dinge is the coach. You both know Dinge. Like
Yeah.
He's like a good mentor too. I wouldn't say he was a good coach. He didn't know much about the game, but you know he would gas you up and that would make you feel
back
good.
then it was just yelling. Like it was the coach was like an enforcer. Like it was just like pretty much your cheerleader and then also talking shit. That was pretty much it. It was full gas for your team, shit talking on the other. Yeah.
Right. It was so good.
Yeah.
You know, because young players coming through, they thrive on, you know, the hype and the gas and whatever like that. You see the older players, they want to like keep the comms down, they want to chill out, but the younger players, they love screaming and just running forward and just violating anyone in front of them. So the security guard coaches are the best for that, you know.
Security guard, I like that. Yeah. I was like, what happened? You guys got second. I was like, what happened at champs? And then I looked at the bracket. You guys played FaZe and then Optic in the bracket, and that's just a little bit unlucky.
Now,
in terms of bracket matchup.
I have a story about champs, but like it's not one that can be said, but it's a funny story that I could tell you too. Like,
yeah.
I have a funny story. It's not one for like, you know, public ears, but you know, I'll tell you that story like privately when I see you two again, and you'll understand. You'll understand. Like, yeah, we got bracket fucked, but there was a different scenario that happened that really just didn't make it good.
Understood. We'll go with bracket fucked for right now.
Yeah.
Until we learn more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was one thing I was going to ask, just because you had kind of the top two, then top six, and I know things kind of went south at the end, but still, it was like a great opening year. Like you said, not everyone can compare it to like a Crim start or a Simp start where they just fucking like win everything and average a 1.5 place, but like that's not realistic. Like you had a solid start to the year. It was a solid start, and then it kind of going into the next year is, you know, where the legacy sort of gets started. Now you start with Orbit, with Joe rated Urban, right? So you stick with Urban, and start on Orbit that year. It looks like you guys were like with Red Reserve for like one event or something.
So Red Reserve bought Orbit.
Oh,
they merged. It was the same team. Everything was the same about it.
Well, I wasn't going to spend too much time on that just because, we have a lot to talk about with you. And I think we'd all agree where your legacy really gets going is the Splyce team. That's kind of the pop off and the start of something truly special for you.
Yeah, I mean, no one likes roster changes, especially, you know, when you feel like you're a good team. I had the opportunity to join Splyce on Black Ops 3 before they were going to drop, it was either B-Sport or Madcat for me on Black Ops 3. And my owner was like, Marky B told him not to sell me, so like I couldn't like leave the team on Black Ops 3 to join him. So I was kind of like, but that's just how it is. And then I finally got the opportunity to go and team with him. It was after ESWC, I'm pretty sure. We didn't have a very good showing, and I got the offer, and it was like one of those offers that was just like, you can't turn it down, just because like I really wanted to play with Bance as well. And it was just, it nearly didn't go through just because of all contracts and stuff like that. That was the first time, that was like the second time I've ever been bought out of a contract. The first one was Infused to Orbit. I think they paid like 3.5k for me, which is crazy considering like what it is now. You know, I was like, yo, I'm worth 3.5k. This is amazing. You know,
absolutely.
I've got a market value. You know, and then I think I got sold to Splyce for like 15k or something like that. It was something like that. But that was a whole like. I mean, you see it in the news, like with like other athletes when they like refuse to play and stuff like that if they don't get their way. I was doing the same thing, you know. I was saying I'm not playing with you guys. I'm not representing your organization. I had lawyers in my DMs, my emails. I had my phone blowing up. They were gonna sue me and everything like that. I was like, all right, let's just try and come to an agreement. I think it was like I think it was just Orbit trying to sell me. I think it was for like 150k or something like that. Like back then, like I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
That's fucking insane. Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm not Crim, I'm not Clay, I'm not, you know, anyone like that. Just, you know, they just really wanted to keep me, but I think it got to the point where they were just being
Trying to make
weird
money.
and yeah, you know, and there's making money and then there's just asking for unrealistic stuff. So I think it took like 2-3 weeks to actually get it through, and I wasn't allowed to scrim or anything like that. They banned me from scrimming. If I scrimmed, I was gonna get fined and everything stuff like that. So, you know, but that's just business at the end of the day, and I respect that.
And that's
you know?
old school business. I don't think like obviously it's a little bit different now, but back then, like
Oh, the players got bullied because we didn't have
Yeah.
agents. We weren't making enough money to get agents, you know? Like, you know,
well,
agents,
in like nowadays you get benched, you're like, all right, I'll just go collect a check, right? I'll hang
Yeah.
out for a little bit. Like back then it was like, no, I'm sitting out. Like I'm just gonna hang out. You don't want to pay me, or I don't want to play. You don't want to trade me. I'll just sit here. I mean,
because I remember the owner ringing me and he's like, why are you doing this? I was like, I don't want to be here. And he's like, well, what are you gonna do if we don't sell you? I was like, not play. And he was like, right, well, we're taking you to court. And I was like, what? I was like, just sell me.
Yeah, you'll spend more money in court, like going through that
Yeah.
bullshit. It was probably more just like a threat than anything.
I'm
just trying to
worth
get you to play.
nothing. Like I'm I'm worth nothing.
I don't think you're worthless. I don't think
Well,
you're
not
worthless.
anymore. I feel like I got my own worth now. I'm good now. I'm good now. Back then I was worth nothing though. You know?
Yeah, but like this, you went through all that bullshit, but then this team, like, you know, it had the right pieces. You know, you had the good relationship with Bance. I mean, to me, well, I'll hear from you, but to me, like Jared and Mad Cat are just opposite humans. Like anytime I'd have, you know, Mad Cat on hot mic or have a conversation with him, you know how Mad Cat is. That guy's fucking wild. I love him. Like he is he's absolute comedy. I don't know if Jared spoke a goddamn word to me unless he was drunk. I honestly, if I walked up to like Jared and talked to him, I just thought he was like nervous. I don't know, like uncomfortable being around him. I was just like too much chilling. Yeah, he's just like very, very chill, just kind of hanging out, like just give me a nod. I'm like, what's up, dude?
That's why I really like that team dynamic, because you had me and Ben who were like the two young guns, you know, like we came up together, done the same stuff together. Like we pretty much like the way that even to like this day, I've messaged him saying like we took it a step further than everyone else did. You know, like there was like Mad Cat, Jared, Tommy, Swanee that like, and they had their like, they stopped playing pretty much at the same time, and then me and Ben just elevated it to a new level. And that's on no like egotistical stuff. That's just like, look where everything's at now. You know, there was barely any Europeans playing like across the seas and stuff like that. Now everyone's playing across seas, and you know, and with playing with Ben as well, we had like the right pieces. You know, like Mad Cat was the guy that scared everyone because no one understood a word he said. Yeah, no one understood a word he said. Gun fingers, everything like that. He was doing it all, and the Jerd thing, like he's very keeps himself to himself, but like you respect that in terms of the way he plays and his business, you know, because you never saw Jerd in any drama. You never saw him in anything crazy. It was always, you saw Jerd if he's not, he was at a bar, if he was drinking, he was social, but other than that, you know, he kept himself to himself. But if you wanted to go speak to him, he'd speak to you, you know. And that's where I get a lot of my like keep myself to myself type stuff, you know. I'm on Twitter way more than Jerd. I get like it, like I like having a laugh on socials and stuff like that, but like actually like playing and stuff like that, I never really spoke too much because I took that from Jerd, because I feel like that was always a surprise. You know, if Jerd goes off, it's like this guy doesn't even say anything. You know, he would pop a 4-piece, 3-piece, and he wouldn't even scream. He wouldn't even talk. He would just go, oh, got 2, got 3. You know, and I feel like we took that, and the team dynamic was great for 2 events, and then it just went downhill drastically.
Well, you said, I think you kind of nailed it. You guys elevated stuff because, well, one, there's that final in Birmingham. But what, versus LG, right? That's the crazy one in front of the home crowd. Like
I wasn't on the team.
That's World War II.
That was World War II. I wasn't on the team for that.
Oh, I just saw, honestly, yeah, duh. I just saw second in Birmingham. I forgot we went to Birmingham twice. Whenever I think of Birmingham,
I think this was EU only, right? This Birmingham?
Yeah, this
Birmingham. Yeah, that was EU only.
That's why, because I wasn't there. Yeah, I was saying whenever I just saw like second at CWL Birmingham and thought Splyce, and like my head just instantly went to that. But that's years later.
A year later. That EU Birmingham event, that really started like our like redemption like period of our team.
Yeah.
You know, we had like a really good event. We were frying everyone. That's when like we had like laggy Cronuses and like Bluetooth.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
So pretty much what happened was they shipped all the Cronuses from MOG over to Thingy, but they didn't make it. So they had to go out and buy their own Cronuses, and they didn't get like. So when how they had to be like it had to say like TR or TE on it, tournament edition or
Yes,
something like that.
I was the person who updated all 1,000 of those
Yeah.
all the time.
And
I would change the color for you guys. Yeah,
And
that was
it
me.
just it just
loved
didn't
it.
work. It just didn't work that event for some reason. I don't know why, but it just didn't work. I don't know if it could have been the monitors too. You know, it could have been anything. But we made it to the finals, and then I just got double best of double best of 5. Like, but we lost 3-0, 3-0, and I remember I was there with my ex, and we were gonna go out for dinner, and I get a phone call. We literally sat down at dinner, and they're like, Trey, get to the hotel room now. I'm at dinner. They're like, don't care.
Don't
I'm
care.
like, so I'm like, all right, like I gotta listen. So I'm like, say to my ex-girlfriend, I'm like, all right, listen, like, we gotta go to this thing. Fuck dinner, we'll order something. We go upstairs, and it's just a room, and we're all just roasting each other, like straight up, like constructive criticism roasting, but like, no one likes losing, especially in the finals, but like getting 3-0, 3-0 whacked is like not the best way to do it. So we just went in there, got absolute like just violating. And from that event, we flew straight to the league, I'm pretty sure. Or like, I can't remember if it was playoffs or just the league matches. And that night really changed everything for our team.
And it led to some magic. I mean, because this, we talk about sort of elevating things. But CWL Stage 1 playoffs, win, first international win, the MVP on top of that, like kind of defining moment for EU Call of Duty esports as a whole, I think, just for players in general.
To put it bluntly, I mean, Trey kind of talked on it, like going overseas for the EU guys in NA was just very unsuccessful. Like they just never really, I mean, this is starting in like Black Ops 1. Like they just never played that well. Like there was a couple of probably top 8s here and there. I think like in Ghost there was like was it Marky's team? I don't know. There was like a couple of T4s.
Yeah,
but they can never win. And then like AW, Gfinities and stuff, like the Optic team, like they were just going over there. Like it was just, when is this going to happen? Like it was always sort of the question mark, who's going to be the team? And yeah, as you said, like elevating the game. This was it. This was that moment. Everybody was like, finally, holy shit. Like they did it.
Well, EU COD was like a meme for a long time. I think if you like are a viewer and just started watching COD more recently over the last like 5 years, you probably don't get why it's like joked about, because I mean, I just got shit on for a long time.
And that's the I went for my fair share of losing at international events, and you get in tweets like, you guys just aren't good enough, and I mean, it wasn't
soccer either. Like,
it wasn't an untrue statement,
Yeah.
Proof was there. Like no one really done well. Mark had like a top 4 or top 6 at Anaheim, and that's like deemed like the best at that time. So like I'm not being like egotistical or anything like that when I say like me, like that team elevated like European COD, but like it 100%. Did, and it was just a good feeling to do it with like someone I class as one of my best friends. And like we came up together at the same time, so like, and everyone wanted to like. After that, I feel like everyone was like, right, they've done it now. Now they know like Europe's on the map. Like anyone can do it.
It gives confidence to people back home. I mean, we've talked to some players, just like you see those guys doing it. That makes you want to do it. That allows like, okay, we can do this. We play against these guys, right? We've beaten them in a match. Like that means we can win internationally. That motivates others to go for it. I mean, that's it's a fact. It's a fact.
Well, you did that. I mean, the MVP, the win, I remember just your face on stage. And I mean, I'm sure that was just one of the greatest moments in your life without question. And then what? Like after that, you got second at Anaheim, and
versus LG. That was a crazy series, right? Wasn't the finals crazy?
Yeah, I saw a tweet from like
I saw a 249 where Jack and I were fucking going crazy. It was like the video.
Yeah, on the Scorch. Yeah,
on the
Scorch.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, that was.
It was the Scorch, and then Octane had streaks, and then he didn't use them, and then Mad Cat killed like Saints using kinetic armor, and then it was just a whole like crazy.
All the years just blended together. Was the London Docks World War II? Was that LG Splyce too? Was that LG? No, was that Envy? Who was that? That 249,
London
249. Was it 24
Envy,
LG?
LG maybe? Yeah, something like
I think
that.
it was LG. Dude, like the 249, some of the titles just blur together. I was to say, was that Splyce too? Because what the fuck, my brain is
They're the greatest like times to play too. Like, you know, you win, it's like adrenaline's kicking. If you lose, it's like adrenaline is still kicking. You know, it's not like
or you tie.
don't even get me started, bro.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. But all right, so you
started.
have those. You have like that first. You have this like defining moment in your career, and I think like UConn as a whole. You get the second two, which is amazing. But then similar to kind of like with Team Infused, I know a very different scenario. But like the last couple events, things don't go quite as well. And Joe, I know we talked to Bance a little bit.
Yeah, we talked to
about
Bance. Yeah, he was like, I think what he said is I think it was the way stage 2 playoffs were or something. You guys could only play Epsilon. And I think that like that fucked your mental is pretty much what he said.
So like for me, I've got no filter in it, so I'll just say whatever because like because everything is just like a big old story, and people just want to know about like what happens like day-to-day basis behind like a pro player. So the way it went was we could only play Epsilon in scrims, and bear in mind at that time I was the best AR in the game. Like it wasn't even close. All right, best NV4
that's right.
in the
He
game.
said you guys role changed too. Wasn't that what it was?
Listen, I was the best player.
Yeah.
I was the best player in the fucking game. All right. Me and Formal never ever spoke, and I hopped on one day. He had my name in his clan tag. All right. That's how I knew I was the fucking. That's how I knew I was the dog's danglies. You know what I'm saying? So we do that. You know, and I saw a tweet from Jake Hale. It was like, the IW trio of Zero, Formal, and Octane just battling it out for being the best player in the game was like the greatest it's ever been. And I was like, yeah, like that took me back.
Mm-hmm.
So we play Epsilon for a week straight. We get bopped. We get absolutely bopped. And playing the same team every single day, 2 sets a day, whatever like that. You know, you create bad tendencies because you're trying to counter all the time and stuff like that. And then Mad Cat, Dylan, I love you, but like this guy goes, Trei, give me the MV4. I said, I don't know about that. Like, I mean, I'll use it if you guys like think that's what it is, but like, I think I'm the best player in the game right now with his MV4. I'm not too sure. We do it, and no word of a lie, we go from like here, and it just goes.
It's crashing
all the way down there, and like that. It didn't only create like bad gameplay and stuff like that. It created like bad vibes, arguments. You know, we pre-land before champs in Orlando, with a bunch of other European teams, and like our vibes were just chalked. Like I remember I made a play that I literally used to make all the time, and because it didn't work, Dylan was like, Trei, never make that play again, ever. Don't do that. And I was like, I literally make this play every single day, and it works every single day. It just didn't work this day. And he's like, no, I don't care. So I just put my headset down. I left mid-scrim. I walked back, and I was just like, and he said to me, he was like, oh, what's up with you? I was like, listen, you're just being a dick. Like, you know, I don't usually like create confrontation and stuff like that, but like, you know, it's just like when you hear the same when things aren't going well and you just hear like moaning and stuff like that, especially at that moment in time, it just, you know, it chokes a team. And you know, I'm not blaming
you guys
anyone.
were at your peak, right? I mean, that's probably the toughest part for all of you here, all 4 of you, is like you guys won a championship, you got a second, like you're trying to get back to that form, and sometimes that can just be difficult to do.
Well, you're striving for greatness all the time. You know, we know we've won. We know we could have won back to back, and then like
fucking Epsilon.
That's the whole. That's just how it was. You know, the separation between Europe and NA. Like we didn't live there. You know, our organization didn't want to pay for us to live there either, which is understandable because it's so expensive. You know, and that means we were just forced to play a team for a week straight, and like genuinely that just ruined us. Like actually, I don't usually like blame one thing or anything like that. That's why I don't blame any of the players. Like, you know, we got bopped for a week straight, and you know, Dylan wanted a roll swap just because we were losing. And it's like it doesn't matter like the outcome. Like things happen, and that's the story. That's, you know, that's just life. That's how it goes.
100%.
What did Epsilon end up getting?
At champs.
I remember IW because they never mind. That was one of the top 12s. Let's say because they usually like around Anaheim time, champs time, Dave would pull off some fucking top like the FOB team and shit like that. I was wondering, it was like if they play you and then they end up get like a top 6 or some shit.
Or is it? Well, Anaheim they beat us in winners. I think they beat us in winners, and
because you got second, they got third, right?
Yeah. But that was a funny story too. There was a girl walking around. She was a big Bance fan, and Ben had a girlfriend at the time, and I was just trolling. I was like, "Do it for her, Ben," and then he got really fucking angry because like he had a girlfriend, and he got really angry. And I know what right. Like I love Ben to pieces, and he didn't call out the whole series. And I went over to him after. I was like, "Ben, I am so sorry. Like let's lock it the fuck back in. We're
good to go."
Yeah, And that's like that. That's just like that type of like banner and stuff like that. Like you can have with your friend or whatever. And I could just tell that whatever I said really pissed him off. So I like went in to apologize, and we just like locked it the fuck back in. Like we lost 3-0. I went up to him, apologized. I was like, Ben, I'm so sorry. What happened again? And then boom, lock in, and we smoke Epsilon.
I love Bance. Just your guys' dynamic, I think would crack me up. But,
I got so many stories about that guy.
I imagine, dude. He's one of the best, bro. Me
and him nearly had a fight in a hotel room, like teaming.
Over what?
Because of the Epsilon thing.
Oh no, because he said it was like we knew. I know the Epsilon stuff. You guys were struggling with roles, but like, yeah, I was gonna say like he said like egos were a part of it too. Like you guys are both peaking, bro, young players, and you got the two wars. I'm sure it got bad.
Well, and then add Mad Cat to that mix, who was like the EU GOAT at the time. Like
I see him standing there while they argue.
Me and Ben used to like share a room with each other, and we just got bopped at S2. And I was like, I'm not playing the same team for a week straight ever again. Don't even try it. And he was like, and I was like, I'm not scrimming. I was like, well, tell Mad Cat that. And he was like, no, you tell him. I was like, why am I telling Mad Cat that you don't want to scrim? And he was like, and I was like, you tell him, stop being a fucking bitch. And he goes, what do you call me? I said, a bitch. And he goes, get the fuck out of the hotel room. I said, this is our hotel room. And I'm just sat there like I'm like puffed out, like ready to go. He's laying in bed, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting out of here, bro. So the most awkward thing about it is we're like, oh, we're gonna go cheesecake, and I'm like, Ben's not gonna come, blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, Ben's coming, and we had like 12 of us, maybe even like 15 of us, just the EU bunch, and like how it's laid out, and there was only 2 seats left by the time me and Ben got there, and it was literally across from each other. Like, bear in mind, we had this beef going. We didn't look at each other the whole time. Ben asked for the ketchup. It was on my side. I didn't pass him no ketchup. It was like a miniature breakup,
Aww.
On and off, like a high school couple.
But all right, so you had all that shit in Infinite Warfare, some good, some frustrating, fuck Epsilon.
Some great.
Some great, some role career defining and region defining. But then into World War II,
they dropped
partially. I would say partially probably because how all that shit went down. Is that you got dropped? I couldn't remember if you like left, you got dropped. What the deal was?
So I was like, I thought I was good. I felt like we had a good year. I thought we were gonna stick out again. We used Skype back then. I was on the way I was driving, and Skype. I get a Skype message, and it's like a really long paragraph. I'm like, all right, bet, let's read this. And it's just a massive long paragraph about like why I'm getting dropped. Yeah, why I'm getting dropped, why I'm getting replaced, and like the whole like general consensus of it was that I wasn't proven on boots on the ground. So that's why they picked up Tommy, because he's a proven boots on the ground player.
It started off well for them.
Yeah, and that's when I got really pissed off, because I was like, oh, okay, this is like, oh, they made a good play. Like, we just got bopped, they got second, and then like after that event, like I genuinely just like I said to myself, like, I'm not allowing like myself to like look bad. Like, I got dropped. I'm not allowing them to look good just because, I got dropped. So, we locked it in. And I genuinely feel like that was probably like one of my better CODs, like one of my best CODs that whole time.
I argued with whether I was streaming or arguing with like pros. Like I just was like, Listen, man, like I know it was tough for some people that started like in boot or started in advanced, and like all the old school players like, oh, they might not be able to handle. Like I was just like, guys, it's not fucking rocket science. It's fucking COD. Like, listen, there might be some players that would have a drop off, but like when it comes to your like truly elite players, like you were at the time, like it's fucking COD. Like you're gonna be all right. There might be like some kind of adjustment, but like I don't know. I remember people like really that being a big talking point. Like, are they going to be okay when we get back to the ground? Like, are they going to be able to handle it?
It was more like because it was just like game decisions. Like Jetpack Conway, I wouldn't say you had to make the right plays.
Oh,
but
they were different.
Much more punishing.
I
for
get
sure.
it, but it's still fucking COD. Like, it's just not. It's not
There's definitely some
like,
drop off.
The whole like thing for me was it's just like it's not like you like the game drops and you're instantly at an event within like a week. You know, and it's not like everyone has to learn the same game and learn how to play with each other, and you got time to do so. So, like, you know, the general like drop-in excuse of that was just like I didn't say anything to him in the chat. I just said, I bet, good luck. You know, like that's just what I said. But like maybe
it was right. More all the other bullshit probably before that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, those three were a team before I joined them, so it's more like, you know, it's like, do you get rid of one of the core three, or do you get rid of the guy that just came in, you know, regardless of what I done? You know, it's like a scapegoat thing.
Yeah. Well, it ends up working out though. What you guys get in World War II Red Reserve, you guys really lock it in. You get top 4 in New Orleans. You get it's you, Joe, Rated, and Josh, and then you guys end up picking scraps later on. Because what you guys get like a 5th, 6th, and then you get a top 8 in Seattle, but then you go 2nd in Anaheim.
So your Anaheims are like 6 seconds, second basically at this point. Aren't
they? I'm an Anaheim legend.
Yeah. I was saying you're
a couple of runner-ups.
Yeah, I'm the Anaheim Silver Surfer. That's me for sure.
But honestly, I think the thing that I remember most is just, you guys were very close. It was another year where there was an EU team competing with the best NA. It just felt like sort of, and the good thing was this was a different crew, right? Like this was a much different crew, but kind of what we talked about, it translated where there, you know, the European guys, the international players were learning from the previous years.
The whole thing about my like whole career and like people like rating me and stuff like that genuinely annoyed me because it's not like I've done it once for a 1-year wonder. I've generally been on different teams every single year, and 9 times out of 10 in that year I finish off as a top 4 team, or you know, and it's like I don't look for my flowers. I don't care if anyone gives me my flowers or anything.
We'll give them your flowers. We'll give you your flowers right now.
You know, in the end of the day, it was just like even when I was doing well, I still didn't get many team offers and stuff like that. And you know, I don't know whether it's because I don't kill whore or anything like that. But you know, I feel like if you actually like, look at like how long like I've been competing for and how well I actually done, considering I was on like a different team pretty much every single year, like I think that's a pretty good like thing to take with me. You know, because a lot of people, you know, they stay on the same team for like 2 years or stuff like that. But I felt like I was a consistent top 4 team for pretty much like 5 years straight, you know?
Oh, yeah, I think what you're saying is big. You know, I think I was having this discussion. Who the hell was I talking to? So talking to Sam, or I remember who I was talking to, but just about like best all time stuff. And like, I think I mean, I don't know, I haven't given it too much thought, but like after Krim, I might literally go Clay, because like a lot of those players, you know, were in the top or like on dynasties or on the same team or organization for a long time making the call. Like Clay's a guy that had to go to a different team like every year and make something work. And I think there's a lot of value in that. Yeah. Just like showing you can adapt and play with a different team and still come up with results. And you hopped around quite a bit, but no, I actually put a hell of a lot of value in that. So I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy playing with new teams. You know, I really do. I like the whole like, you know, being secure and stuff like that. But the whole like the fact that I could do it every single year with a different team, different players, just like a good feeling inside for me on a personal level. Just because I knew that like I wasn't on a team getting carried, and I'm not saying I was in the carrying, but like I also bring a different type of value to like consistently make it work each year.
Yeah. No, I mean it was a ridiculous stretch, and you had over what was it, like 4 years. Like a series of warfare, World War II. Well, a bit of advanced warfare when the start first happened.
Yeah.
Wait, was Anaheim? That was the tie, right? Was that the tie?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
It was on Ardennes Forest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when Rise were like, we were thinking maybe next Dynasty type team. Like they were pretty fucking gross there for a bit.
Yeah, I mean that's a funny story that tied to. I was a smoke player, and I always used to smoke the cross to hill, but I listened to my teammates and they said smoke the hill, so I just like smoked the hill, and I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to smoke the cross so we can get to hill. So like you know, if you ever speak to like Rated Joe or Matty or anyone like that, you know, it's just gonna be a whole story of them like blaming me and then I blame them about like comms and stuff like that. But like, you know, it's more like common sense from me and just like a bad comment from them that I just listen to. So, you know, that draws that.
You guys
draws
just wanted to play
actually.
Warzone 2, bro. Throw smoke and fucking start shooting.
That was just a stupid time, bro.
Yeah.
Stupid time.
Smokes are like so great in theory, but dude, the more I have to deal with them, like,
it was so annoying, bro. So annoying.
will I get him? What Amos says, will I get one way? Who the fuck knows?
You never know.
Yeah. I really love that game though. Like actually, like that game was so good. It was fun to watch. It was like competitively good to play, and that goes in my top 3 of all time. Like actually, competitively wise.
I don't know if
That's
it's my
solid.
top 3, but it's a solid one. Yeah, no, it's like it's one I think of positively, which I can't say much for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing was like the first like 3 months or whatever. They like their what was it called? Their perk stuff.
It was just nade spam, like right. It was
Well,
just, all I'd hear when I watched was
Deddy wasn't Deddy. Deddy wasn't
Yeah.
dead
Oh,
silence.
Because it was
Which,
like
I mean,
mountain and all that shit, right? Where you had all the
yeah,
different
because
things,
I think the
those
first
out.
Deddy was like the little one, and then the second one was the whatever, the big guy. I forget how it works, but
I think
anyways,
I think it was like Renaissance or something like that. Was like
yeah,
the
vision
like,
and
you had to have like you had to have Mountain and Renaissance to be like fully dead silent, and it was like
that's what it was.
it was so like it didn't work because you needed other stuff.
And we
I
told
just
them that before the game came out that they're going to probably have to update that system, and then they did. That's crazy.
I mean, listen. At the end of the day, like people say, like about like you know pros GA and everything and stuff like that. We will generally make the game the best it can possibly be to be competitive, and the best way
100%.
possible to make it like good to watch and good to play. You know, we could go on a massive tangent about how we don't get listened to about that, but like that's also like not in our pay grade too. You know, like you know they get paid to play, they get paid to make the game. We don't get paid.
Maybe a whole
to make
fucking
it, you know?
episode on that topic, honestly.
Yeah, that'd be a season.
Yeah, no, it really would. But no, dude, all I remember for watching scrims the first time is I went to bed afterwards, and all I could hear was Semtex's like the beep, beep, beep. Like I literally just remember that's all I heard.
Oh yeah,
Because it was just you'd spawn and just
constant.
throw 2. Wasn't it just spawn throw 2 for a while there? Like literally,
Something like that.
I swear to God, early in the game, it was spawn up throw 2 Semtex's type shit.
Oh,
And, like,
no, that's what it was.
oh yeah, all I would hear was the beeping of Semtex's like after watching scrims, like in my head afterwards.
It was then the FG42. Yeah, that thing was nuts.
and that story really annoys me because I made that meta. I made it.
Oh yeah, at the first event, right?
And everyone says it was Gunshi. It was me. I made that. Because I'm one of the weirdos that doesn't use the gun that everyone else uses. I try and find my own gun. So I found the FG42, and I was using it against a scrim against Millennium, and then I got told to put it away, and I was like, no, this gun's nasty. And then Gunshi goes and uses it, and everyone's like, oh my god, that gun's unreal. And everyone started using it. I'm the meta maker in the scene.
Unbelievable.
EU Nagathan, dude.
Someone give him his flowers, dude.
Sorry, that one actually got to me. I'd rather have flowers for being a meta maker than actually like competing.
Black Epsilon, fuck Gunshi. We continue on. So Black Ops 4 is where I think like you across the Black Ops 3 Infinite Warfare, I'll leave Advanced Warfare out because it's like a really brief period in World War II. Like you were, I think without question, a top player, and you also found a lot of success, whether it was wins, getting to finals. Like you were like, I think that's when a lot of us started saying like you were the best EU player of all time. Like it overtook, anything Tommy or Swanee or any of those guys did. I think you and Bance kind of went back and forth for a while, and Bance probably now just based on the CDL stuff, which we'll get into. But like you guys were really kind of back and forth, right?
Yeah.
But the Black Ops 4 is. It feels like this is where like the wheels start to come off a little bit, right? Like that's how I kind of remember, like in a way.
Well, this is a much different game than World War II. I think this is when you talk about like potentially the gameplay aspect affecting, because that World War II team, you guys would get outslayed. Like you guys were just fundamentally very
yeah.
sound.
The rest are be right back.
Yeah,
You were fundamentally really, really sound. So like Black Ops 4 adding another player, you guys get Bance. But I just think it was just such a different game than WW2.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10 in World War II, we would get outslayed and win, and we knew that, and even when we had Josh, like I mean, you can say it, everyone says it, me, Josh, Joe, and Rated on World War II. That's not like a slay heavy team.
No.
Josh and Joe, they're
it's
not
like you and Rated, but
yeah, Josh and Joe are not slayers, but we found a way to play the game so correctly that. I would fry. Like, let's not get it twisted. I would fry, but like, it wasn't like a carry world star fry. Where like you look at it and it's like, oh my god, if they didn't have him, they would have lost. It was like we would be 100-point clubbing teams going negative. And Black Ops 4, there was that rumor that I was going 5v5, and we were like, Ben. We want Ben, like, and we genuinely had like the EU powerhouse squad.
Oh, but this is like, didn't you guys have a problem where you didn't know who was going to run the second sub, right? Wasn't there like 3 Maddox players or something?
So I was our sub player because of World War II.
Yeah, okay.
And like, naturally, I am a sub player. That's what I got forced into an AR role that I didn't want to play.
Yeah, but after your couple of years in AR, I'd probably say you should run the AR.
Yeah, and so even on World War II, they took me off flex because they said I was shit. And I was like, I'm not shit. It's just like the sub. I just like running the sub, I would challenge things.
I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
Having fun. I'm a little gremlin, dude.
And like, it's like the ultimatum, you either run the sub and like do well or get dropped, or you get dropped for not wanting to run a sub. So like that was my ultimatum, and like I'm glad I changed because like we were really good. But Black Ops 4, whole different dynamic. We move out to the US. We moved to Vegas of all places. We go to a house that doesn't have fiber. Playing on Rogers, like 6 people on an internet line. I'm not gonna lie, that's probably the least amount of COD I've ever played, just because we couldn't.
Gotcha.
No,
well, that doesn't help. That doesn't help.
Yeah, and on top of all that stuff, we were getting smoked. We don't really win in scrims and stuff like that, but like when it actually come down to events and stuff like that, like I know something was off, and we couldn't really like quite figure it out. There was a point in time on there where I messaged Joe on WhatsApp, like privately, dick thing to do, but you know how players talk to each other and stuff like that. I literally text Joe, I was like, Bance doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to play the game. And
he admitted that, honestly. He said he didn't know how to play until Ultra is what kind of opened his eyes.
So
it's just the roles again. I think this team just made no sense in the game. Like looking back at it, you're just like, it just does not make sense.
So, that Joe texts me and he's like, "Yo, Ben seen the message." I was like, "Oh, here we go."
You and Ben again, dude.
I'm like, here we go, bro. So I go downstairs. Ben gives me a dirty look, doesn't talk to me, and all that stuff, blah blah blah. And one day, I can't remember what sparks it, bro. And he's just like, we just start having a conversation about it. He's like, so I don't know how to play the game. I was like, actually, Ben, I actually don't think you do know how to play the game. Like, I'm being dead serious here. And like, we had this whole like discussion. Ben come and sit in the kitchen. I was a dick. Like, I actually was a dick back then in terms of like, he sat down and then I was like, I think I said something along the lines of like, do you think you need to be dropped? And he was like, he goes, yeah, I think I do. I think I do. And we're all sat there. I look at Kurt, APOC, if he's my agent. He was our manager at the time. I look at him and he goes, it's so fucking chalked. It's so chalked. And I'm like, oh my god.
It's chalked.
But like we also had like different battles going on in terms of like, the Red Reserve stuff going on, They
weren't paying you after they wanted to sue you.
Well, so like the whole story about that is like, so when we bought Matty on World War II, they used our Atlanta earnings to pay for Matty because apparently he got approval from the owners that they were going to pay us back our money, and we signed this deal that we would get our money. They just didn't have it there ready to go when we wanted Matty. So they used our Atlanta money to pay for Matty, which was like 80K, I think.
Mhm.
So we agreed to do that. And then when we went over there in Vegas, and like the payments were
Where's the
slow.
money? Yeah.
The payments were slow and stuff like that. And we were like, what's going on here? And we couldn't get hold of anyone. And then the owner actually came over. Patrick, he came over, first class flight, everything like that. Banging bougie hotel room. We're like, oh, we're sweet. Like like we're good. Like they've got money. Like why are we stressing? And then he leaves. You know, we're not getting paid. It's like Christmas. We're owed like 50K. And we get like
each at this point.
50K each at this point. Apart from Ben and Matty, because they were owed 30K because we had 20K extra on top because of our Atlanta money.
Okay.
So we're sat there, we're like, okay, like what's going on here? They Photoshop a receipt saying that the money's been sent, and send it to us, and they're like, yeah, no, money's being sent, it's all good. We're like, oh, bless, we're sweet, you know? And then what is it? I got like gambling with APOC at like 3 a.m. and he gets a call and he puts on speaker and it's the owner. He's like, yeah, so like you guys are gonna have to leave the house.
Oh, perfect.
And we're like, what? Why? He's like, we're going bankrupt and yeah, we owe the landlord like $24,000. And I go back, I crack open a bottle of vodka or something like that. Me and Kurt are just sat outside, feet in the hot tub. We're like, we're fucked. Like, we're so fucked. Me and him are sat there looking at Airbnbs. Rated comes down at like 4 a.m. He's like, what's the crack? We're like, pack your stuff, buddy. We're out of it. And that's like a crazy situation where, like, you know, I don't know if you remember that Denial owner. I can't remember it. Yeah. He came over and tried making me sign a contract because he said that, like, because he's paying for the rent of the house, that, like, he owns us. He owns us. I was like, that's not how it works. And he tried to get me to sign a contract. So I rang up a lawyer in New York that I got sent to me. And like the contract he sent me was like, I'm not allowed to play eights, I'm not allowed to stream, I'm not allowed to be in team speaks, I'm not allowed to speak to other pros. Like he owns every aspect of my life in terms of that. So I didn't sign it, and he would like knock on my door before he was leaving, like, yo, sign the contract, I'm about to leave. I'm like, I can't, my lawyer's not working right now, don't worry about it. And that's when the whole FaZe thing came about, and I rang like that's when FaZe wanted to come sign us. And then that was like dream go type stuff, you know?
I can imagine, considering I didn't just forget about it, but I just remember like I remember thinking what a nightmare that must be as a player. So you stop getting paid, because this is when it obviously wasn't as established, and the consistency and I don't know, top down organizational stuff wasn't really there like it is now. But it was like getting there. Like
IW was starting.
Yes, people weren't really getting fucked over anymore.
People were getting paid. Like you had your contract was good enough where you were making a lot of cash. Like
this is the only real horror story. Like
we're making good money. Like for and like back then, like for COD, like the viewership wasn't crazy. Like we're making good. Like it was the salaries were like over like inflated. Like it wasn't even funny. Like European players, like at the time on World War II, I think was making like 5K a month. Like, and that was good for like European players, like, you know, like considering like we didn't have the following or anyone else that the NAs had. You know, that's what we were missing out on. That's what we needed to be in NA for. And the issue with Red Reserve is that they gave us big boy NA contracts when we moved over there, and they couldn't fulfill them. You know, instead of saying no, they just said, "Oh, yeah, everything's great, blah blah blah." Like we're making 5 figures like a month with them. And you know, we
weren't making it, but somewhere.
I made it for 2 months. Yeah.
But let's talk about this FaZe team then, because I think it's funny because you talked about how I remember Red Reserve, like you guys would get outslayed by 40 and still win a hard point or be close, like kind of like TK would do that sometimes. But I thought of another squad, but then you join Zuma, who is a part of probably the biggest kill whore team in the history of Call of Duty. When you think about that Black Ops 3 FaZe team, you join Cell, who managed to have a 7 KD on a losing hard point. listen, both phenomenal players. I'm just kind of fucking around, but like this was probably a little bit different than what you were used to, maybe.
Was this the first international team too? Like this was a big deal, right at the moment.
It wasn't like the first international team.
Well, I guess Swan was a nation. There was
Yeah,
there might have been a couple, but
and Jerd on Splyce for Black Ops 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I feel like this was like the pinnacle of like European players like making it out again. You know,
100%. Yeah.
European players on FaZe Clan playing with Tommy, and you know, like that was just like another bar like set. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and that's where it comes down. Like that's where I finally start. Like where I feel like I'm like old enough and a veteran enough to take care of like the new guys coming up. That's where I get my enjoyment from when I play COD, like with like newer people and stuff like that. Like Cell and Asim, you know, teaching them like the ways of being like professional. You know, because they're all good. Like, you know, in game it's all like, you know, they're both really talented players. But like out of game stuff too, it matters as well. You know, we're talking like mental, we're talking how you carry yourself and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of people don't really understand like how important that actually is. But this FaZe team, genuinely one of the funnest times of my life, not just because of FaZe, but we were genuinely a top 3 team from the get-go. Like actually.
You guys got what there was a top 4 at Anaheim, 3rd place at league playoffs. You guys were in the mix throughout. It's just kind of there were some like not great finishes mixed in there too, but like
yeah,
the one moment that I guess I'm probably at Champs is that series versus 100 Thieves, which I think is like one of the most memorable moments of Joe and I's career.
Cheers.
My most memorable day ever. I'm sorry, but like between the Slack Slam and that.
Yeah, what WW2 is what 0-2 control. You guys were up 2-0 in the series, up 2-0 in control, and it was like 3 versus 11 or something. I don't know.
Johnny Joe gets it. He was up 3-0 in a best of 7 before his career.
No, we've all been there. Yep.
Nah, but like it's not even funny, bro, because like it keeps happening.
Yeah,
it just keeps happening.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah, the draw, the Slack Slam, it just keeps piling and piling and piling, and it just don't stop. And then the CDO comes about, and it just gets worse. It just gets even worse.
Yeah, that's sort of the end of the good.
The good.
Yeah.
Now we're into the bad.
He just goes, yeah. So yeah, before we get into the retirement stuff, I know. Yeah, go ahead, Joe. I just want to talk about these last few years.
You start in New York. That's very temporary.
A couple months, weeks.
I got offered to join London before I got to New York.
Look at this squad, though. I mean, you guys are all making cash at this point, so you're chilling. You're in New York.
I was making bread, bro. I was so happy.
And you were living in Manhattan, like you were chilling.
Bro, I was Manhattan penthouse. I was, bro. I don't know who I thought I was, bro. But before this New York team, I really wanted to like venture out again and join an American team. I felt like that was like what I wanted to do. I got offered by London to join them before I joined New York, and I was like, no, I want to do this. I want to move to New York. I want to be in New York. Blah blah blah. And yeah, you're right. I was making bread. Loved it. You know, living in New York, making bread. I just think like, you know, the team. I feel like we weren't mature enough yet. You know.
That makes sense. Yeah, that really wasn't. Like I guess I'm a natural leader. There was also you had Temp on there as well.
The button heads was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and like me and Donnie will say this like day in day out, but like, you know, me and Donnie are like really good friends like outside like a COD as well. But when me and him teamed, it was terrible. Like I feel like he's matured a lot as a player too, like based on the New York thing as well. You know, so.
Yeah, it's definitely there.
I can't hate. Like I felt like I got scapegoated, but like, you know, I'm one European player on a team with 4 Americans, bro. Like what more do you expect? You know, you got to kind of accept that.
You were Zenny got the same treatment, dude. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It happens, but like you put yourself in those situations. You know, I really thought that was like my time to be like a lone soldier.
Joe kind of said it, but like you always, I think it seems to me that you felt, you know, you stepped it up that notch where, you know, you put EU COD on the map in a way it's never been before. You did that, like that's checked off the list, and then it was like sort of I want to be on like it was still in a, even though you did that, it was still in a COD, like COD's been in a, like you wanted to be on like a top NA team and dominate. Like I think that was sort of the next step to you a little bit, I imagine.
Yeah. For me, it was like I'm happy. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. You know, I like being uncomfortable in situations. I feel like it sorts you out later in life too.
You and Bance look at the ketchup and lock eyes.
Well, that was comfortable. Okay, but the whole like me, like, you know, you'll see me do a lot of things that you won't see a lot of people do, just because like I'm okay with trying new experiences and like genuinely like showing people that like you said, like putting EU on the map in terms of like that. It's like Trey could have joined European players on London and been a full European team again, but I didn't want that. I wanted to win a tournament or like win with people that weren't from the same continent as I was.
Well, and I think you too. I remember at the time, you were one of the first players, because it was, I mean, everybody was good friends, but it was still very NA versus EU for the most part, right? Like, but you were one of the first guys that have relationships with the NA players. Like, you really were. And I know that turned some other guys off, like in Europe, right? Like that.
Yeah, I wasn't very liked in Europe for like 2 years.
Yeah, because you did build some of those relationships, but I mean, it did set you up in some of these situations. But the good thing is,
called a brown nosing bitch at one point.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember hearing some stuff in the studio, like Trei's just a nice kid. I think you just knew the
I always vibe, bro. Like always.
Yeah,
right. I always
it was never anything foul. Like I didn't like European players or anything like that. It's just like, how are you guys gonna sit here and just like you if you look at the future and like look at it develop, like do you really think it's just gonna be like you're just gonna be in your little circle, they're gonna be in their little circle? Like what do you want to do when you retire? What do you want to do when you're done? Like you ain't gonna make no connections just being in a European circle or anything like that. How, like, what, you know, you're a good player, but no one wants to play with you because they don't know how you are as a person. You know?
I mean, that's like old school too. I mean, old school like tournaments. You talk to your teammates and that was it. Like you hated everybody else. I just think probably for like maybe just the European guys that took a bit to break that culture. Like that's just how it was looked at, because you guys had so much of a stigma. It was you versus NA. It was you versus NA. So like you kind of
even then I felt like I helped the European players out by speaking to Americans more.
You did. You probably did.
You know?
But then you go back and help London. So you go from New York to London to finish off the year in MW, and you actually finished top 4. I know we talk a lot of bad.
I told you.
I know we talk a lot of bad, but you actually finished top 4 at champs in MW. I mean, it's you, Lusky, Scraps, Dylan, and Shawnee, a solid team, and you guys get 4th. You make 450K. You're like, sweet.
Yeah, I do want to thank like New York on that too, because they were like, you know, of course they were paying me, and they like, you know how it was back then, like you had to finish out, they had to pay you like full for your whole contract. But they weren't being weird. They didn't ask for a buy or anything like that. The only thing they asked me to do was chalk up like the rest of my salary. So they didn't have to pay me the rest of it, which is something like, I think this is like where like I'm happy like with what I do, like in my brain. Like I bet on myself a lot. You know, I make sure like I bet on myself, because like I knew if I sat on the bench for New York, I'd probably resign at the end of that season. So I got the offer to join London. And I think it was like I chalked up like 110K or something like that, like guaranteed like salary to join London. And I think I made a profit on that too. Like I made more than like what I gave up, and I was like, I went home and I was so happy about that, like so happy, because like just betting on yourself and like actually like coming through is like one of the best feelings ever.
Yeah, I guess it's funny because now that I'm like looking at it, I forgot about the 4th. Honestly, like that just I forgot
the
about
online
that,
year. I mean, you forgot about that entire year. I mean, most
I've tried to.
MW is special.
Yeah, but like, you know, I guess I always thought like sort of Black Ops 4s were for you the wheels started to come off, and not really. I mean, you had the finishes. I know Champs was obviously disappointing. And now Dylan ends up being your teammate, but like that, he was on the Reciprocity team, right?
Yeah, it's
he was a monster at Black Ops 4, bro.
When I joined that MW team, it was like they weren't bad, but like I said it to Dom, I was like, you guys needed me just as a normal head, you know, because like, you know, the salaries are crazy, everyone's going crazy, COVID's hit, like, you know, people need that solid person in their life, you know? And like that was just a fun time as well, just because like, you know, Dylan's a crackhead moron sub, like it was hilarious playing with him. You got Matty and Brad who would always argue, but it's always love at the end of the day. And you got me and Sean just sat there on the side, just like it was like me and him were like the parents just watching the kids just go at it 24/7. And it was all like every time we finished scrimmage, so like me and Sean would just chill, and it was like, oh, like long day, you know.
Long day.
What do you? I guess then now I kind of want to ask you, like,
It's just visa issues, right? Cold War.
yeah. Well, I guess want to know, like,
Yeah.
do you think sort of where the downward trend started, and what sort of ultimately ended your career, was any like personal decisions or anything with what you did, or did this visa situation literally just fuck your career?
The visa situation fucked me up bad, like really bad. So I was in my contract negotiations with London, and I had like 30 days left of my visa. And pretty much, my agent was like, "Listen, we're gonna get this contract signed today, and you're gonna get him out in 2 days. Like we can't, like we're against the clock. We got stuff to do. Like we need to get him out there because once you're out here and you file for an extension, like your visa's good. Like you just have to wait in the States until you can get it back, and then you're good again." So he was like, yeah, we'll do it, let's do it. So I'm like getting prepared to leave, like 2 days, I'm packed, ready to go. And then London's like, oh, the league said he's gonna get put on a list, so we're just gonna hold off. And I'm like sat there stressing, you know? Like, why don't you just get me out there? What's the issue? Get me out there. Let's like, you know, it's gonna cost like $3,000, you know, flight prices are high, but like get me out there. Like, let's just do it. So he's like, no, we're gonna wait for the list, The list doesn't come at all. I played the first online like show match against Paris on 160 ping. And then it gets like halfway through the season, and they're like, all right, we can't get you a visa. Like, we're gonna have to let you go. And the day they let me go, the day later, they let they let me go. They let Dom go too, the coach, and they ring Dom up the next day and was like, "Yo, we got you a visa appointment. Like, we want you back." So Dom rings me and he's like, "Yo, I got my visa appointment." I was like, and they want me back, and I was like, "Oh, sick. Like, am I coming back?" He was like, "No." I was like, "What?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "Well, that's fucked up." So I have to finish out the year. I play challenges. Lucky for me, I had Dom who did believe in me for like the rest of like the year and stuff like that, and that's when we go on to the rough but happy but good Vanguard year as well.
Yeah, and I think Vanguard. I mean, you guys, it's you. It's kind of you and the young kids, right? I mean, you played with Afro and Gizmo in Challengers in Cold War, I think, right? Yeah, Afro, Gizmo. So you had a bit of a relationship there. You kind of knew the future that was coming. Nasty's in there. You guys get third at the first major, but then from there, you guys play well online. There's the issues with Gizmo, and it's just like it can never. Whatever happened at LAN, I don't know. It's just like the team could never get back into that mojo. I felt like there was always something that was happening. I think maybe just an unfortunate year again, but
yeah, it's you know, I always say it, like being from Europe, going to like play doing this as a job professionally, coming over here, it's the most loneliest thing you can do. Like dead serious. Like there'd be times where I just turn everything off, pitch black, like, and I like you're just alone. You know, it don't matter. Like, I'm a good-looking guy. I can go talk to a girl or anything like that, but like that doesn't.
Fuck
like,
yeah, you are.
You know what I'm saying though? Like that's not like it's
different.
It's there's a different alone. You know, like you got all these NA players that have been friends. They've got people around them that live there. You know, they've got friends that live in the same state as them. Like we don't. We don't. We've only got teammates. We've only got this, but like people have got their own lives too. I was gonna do a tweet after I retired saying like if anyone like if any European players like actually do like come out here and like do it as a job or anything like that and you need help like talk to me because like it's like a different type of alone when you do this as a job. Like you are like genuinely with your teammates and if you're not with them like you are alone, you know?
I think that's why we've been so impressed with Hydra's story because like on top of that he couldn't really speak English when he got here.
Yeah.
Like,
And
the first like French player, like I'm sure you know firsthand like I had to be something.
yeah, and Hydra gets like all my respect too because like you know I speak to him now, you know, and I feel like a lot of people that come from there like come from Europe before like after like me and Ben done what we did, they have like a lot of respect for us in terms of like you know like Hydra's like way better than I ever was in terms of like skill wise. I'll happily admit that, you know, like this guy is genuinely unreal. But like that's what I'm saying. Like I like the whole like when we made that Vanguard team, I liked it because like Gizmo was going through stuff and I could always help him out if need be. He never lived by himself either, so like you know, he'd be like, Trey, how do I cook this? And I'd be like, I don't know how you do this, you know. Blah, blah, blah. He cooked a steak one night. I don't know if it's
like going to uni, dude. I mean, that's like that first version of like being homesick and trying to figure out life. But you're not a phone call away from your parents.
Yeah, we had this, you know, I went through a lot of shit that year too. That's when my relationship ended with my girlfriend. We were together for like 8 years.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, you met her, Clint, a few times, and probably you did too, Joe.
Ages ago, but yeah.
It was just like not a good like environment, whatever, like that. And then she, like, this is like what I happened to me that made like my career like drop off a little bit too. She like rang me one day, said like she cheated on me, blah blah blah, and then I went off the rails. You know what I'm saying? I was out drinking a lot. I was out, you know, just trying to go to a bar just to get away from like life and shit like that. Which then affected my teammates because, you know, I'm not doing what I usually done. I went out drinking a lot. There was like a dare came in like hungover on scrims and stuff like that. You know, this is the type of stuff I'll admit just because like I did fuck up. You know, instead of using all that like anger and stuff like that and putting it just strictly into business and just doing what I wanted to do, and helping out the team and stuff like that, which like would have made me a 10 times better player and would have made I probably would have still been playing to this day. But I just went off the rails completely. Even at events and stuff like that, I wouldn't listen to my coaches. I went out and just got drunk. And it was at Toronto where my manager and Dom were like waiting for me to come back because they were like be back before 12, and I didn't message them until like 1:30, and I was like, yeah, I'm on the way back. And they waited for me, and they took me outside, and I was like, I just sat down. They were like, are you good? And I just like cried for like 2 hours straight. And that's like I cried for like 2 hours straight, and I just sat up, I locked in, and I was good. I was ready to go.
Steve, it's impressive because like I think Kat and I were together for like what 5-6 years, something like that, and like we had a very amicable breakup. Like it was just needed to happen. We were basically friends at that point, super amicable. But then I had like one of my best friends passed away 2 weeks later. Uncle passed away a week after that, and I was a fucking mess that Jodos. I was showing up to cast like I hadn't slept in days. I was just fucked in the head, and I just couldn't get out of the funk. So like I've never like I don't think I've been cheated on, but like being in a relationship that long and hear it, like it's just something you have to. No one can like help you with that, really. I mean, they can distract you and stuff, but like you just had to deal with it. Like and I'm sure it was hard to put everything in or be focused. I can imagine.
Because we were coming up to like the important times too. You know, we were good for champs and stuff like that because of our online like performances and stuff like that, and that top 3 at the thing. But like,
you guys got there.
It weren't good enough for me on a professional level. But like, I admit that. You know, that's my bad. And I feel like after that year, the players didn't want. The players didn't want to play with me. You know, Afro, Nasty, and Joey, they didn't want to play with me anymore because of that. And I think like now, like as like time's gone on, like we've matured a bit more and stuff like that. They kind of like understand that like it was just a rough time for me. You know, like same with anyone. Everyone goes through a little rough time, but for me, like it was like people have their rough time, but like for me, it's like I gotta lock in and do this as well as like not let 3 other people down. And
yeah, I feel like everybody goes through. It just happens. You have a big learning moment in your life, so
yeah,
that's life. That's a life experience right there.
it is.
Obviously, yeah, not to finish. You guys won a champs. MW2 comes around, pretty short lived. No idea. London at this point, it's kind of just a mess, right? The London team.
Yeah.
You have Nasty Asim and Paul. I mean, yeah, they just never figured it out this year, right? Never figure it out.
Yeah, it's
Did anyone figure this game out?
the
New York, yeah.
Yeah, true.
I have a lot to say.
Yeah.
But like I like saying it doesn't like change the fact or anything. You know, whatever happened has happened. They just I got dropped because they said I didn't have the passion anymore. And by that they said I didn't show it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were trying to make us do like some stuff, you know, like write down and stuff like that. And I was like, listen, I don't write. You know, I don't. I'm not writing in a notepad. I was kind of like, I was a bit stubborn, but like I was also thinking like, in my head, I'm thinking like, the same way I said to you, like I've been a top player for 8 years. You know, like don't change what I'm doing. Like I'm good. You know, I feel like I'm in a good routine every single year. Like I'm good. Don't change my way. And then in games and stuff like that, they were saying that like I didn't look like I wanted to be there. I didn't look like I wanted to play. I wasn't getting hyped enough and stuff like that. And bear in mind at this point when I got dropped, I was playing like COD like 16, 17 hours a day. Like I was trying, you know, I was you know, I was working out in the gym. I was making sure my mental was good. I was playing COD a lot. And then it just came up one day and said like, listen, we're putting you on the bench. And at that point, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you do on the bench. I feel like for me, like the COD politics is kind of crazy. You know, you get put on the bench and people just instantly assume you're terrible. You can't play again. And even in challenges, there was like a challenges team. I played with Darkside, Bink, and Estru, and we got second in an elite. And I was like, low key, I fried. I was like a 1.3 throughout the whole season, throughout the whole like elite thing. And I was like, I'm gonna get pissed on. Like I'm gonna get my spot back. Like I'm good. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't happen, which kind of annoyed me because like they're getting pissed on and I'm not, you know, and like put me back in. I'm back, like I'm playing every single day. I wake up early. I stream rank play. I scrim. I then stream rank play again for the rest of the night. I was doing everything in my power to get my spot back, and I felt like no matter what I done, I just wasn't gonna get it back.
Well, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they probably confused. Like it probably wasn't passion. That was the last. It was probably just frustration. I mean, you went from being in finals and MVP and all this stuff we've talked through with your career, just being the team was shit. Like you just didn't probably feel you had a chance to like win. And I imagine like being in that situation, knowing how you view yourself, like you're probably fucking frustrated.
I believe I can win with any team. With any team, I
genuinely believe but you know what I mean. Like that. It's the toughest spot you've been in with a team.
I never sat there once and thought like, oh, we're shit. Like even at the start of the year, like Asim didn't fly out straight away because we didn't have anything set up. Like, you know, if we're gonna go down this route, you know what I'm saying? Like, me and Kevin, our manager, were the reason anyone had any beds in the house, any setup set up in the house. Me and him done it all. Even at the facility, me and him set it all up. Like there was no help from no one, ever. You know, and I'm not like saying like I should be privileged, not, but like I should be carrying heavy things. You know, if I break my finger, I'm chalked.
The way we are with CDL and organizations now, yeah, probably. Yes,
you know,
you're just players now.
We should show up and everything be done. All right. I showed up to LA one day. Me and him showed up to LA, ready to move in. They didn't even pay for the house.
Why were you guys in LA? Why did you guys move out of Charlotte?
We got bought by an LA company.
Okay.
And listen, I didn't want to move to LA.
Yeah, gotcha.
I know the West Coast sucks for COD. I think the West Coast sucks for players. I think LA is a terrible place to be. I think it sucks the reality out of life. I think it's genuinely just like a fake place. I genuinely do
There's
think
people
it is.
with infinite money, so yeah, it can't
You know,
be for sure.
Yeah, I had the choice to move there recently or Columbus. I was like, I'm going to Columbus. I'm done with LA, bro. I live there.
Like that would be the best decision you'll ever make in your life. We live on a beach.
Yeah.
We live on a beach.
Yeah.
When the fuck am I gonna live on the beach ever again? All right, I'm not Elon Musk. All right, I ain't got I ain't got that sort of money to be blasting it on a beach house. Like, it's fake. I get it. Like, if anyone's in LA, get out of LA. I know Alec got out of LA
Unless
straight
you're
away.
rich as fuck. Yeah, unless you got a lot of cash. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you that.
So now, now you decided to retire, hanging out for right now.
Yeah.
We got through your career. It was a long one. It was a long career. A lot of ups and downs. Well, really far ups and then just some downs. But yeah, I mean, you've had some ridiculous achievements. As we said, you were the first international team to win in North America. You had some top fours at champs. Always in really good positions to win. Just some unlucky things. And unfortunately, too, even with the CDL, you said you were playing well this year. Someone has to make the decision to bring you back onto the team, right? Like, and sometimes that could be out of players' hands. That could be a manager. Who knows? It just felt like you were fighting an uphill battle, and sometimes those just don't go your way. But I'm sure it'll all be good. You had a great career, Trey. You did.
I did try. If there's one thing, if there's one thing I only wanted to take from the career, regardless of like what happened to me or anything like that, is like my mum said it. 'Cause I rang my mum. I don't really speak to my parents that much, just because like, I don't know, I like doing my own thing. I don't like I got a great relationship with them, but like I rang her the other day. It's like the first time we spoke in like a year, and like the realization of like how long I've been doing it was my little brother. The last time I saw him, he was 15.
Mm-hmm.
He's just turned 18.
Sheesh.
And he has a full-grown beard. Yeah, a full-grown beard. And I was like, yo, I've been doing it for this long. Like the thing that ran through my mind was like if my parents, like something happened to my parents, like I've lost like 8 years of actually seeing them properly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, even coaching, still doing like the same thing, being out away from like family and stuff like that. I feel like you have more time as a coach to actually like speak to people.
More freedom
For sure.
Yeah,
a little more freedom.
And the whole like retiring thing, like I said, it's not that I think I can't compete. I know I can. Like, I'll gun your favorite player tomorrow. Like, I'll do it. I'll do it the next day. I'll do it every single day. It's the fact of the politics in COD. I don't like it. I think it sucks. I think you see a Valorant player get dropped or benched, he's instantly on another team within 3 weeks. I think COD dynamic sucks. I think a team that's doing ass, they're just continuing playing with the same players. It just doesn't work. Even roster changes, anything like that. So I just wanted to get out of that player dynamic and be in a dynamic where I feel like I can help out people that need the help. Because I've had a very long career and I've helped out a lot of people, and I feel like being a coach is the next step where I feel like I can benefit, like actually feeling like I've like contributed instead of just played,
Yeah.
It probably was doubly frustrating because I think you're talking about how you hate all this, the politics of it and all that shit, but like I think more than any EU player ever kind of went out of your fucking way to try and play the game. Like try and get the scene, try to make friends, try to network more. Like you did that so much that like it's probably even more frustrating when you still hit that wall. It's just like, well, fuck. I mean, I tried. And like you said, I tried.
Yeah.
And I was happy that I tried,
That's all that matters.
I got no regrets from my career. I got no regrets from the people I've met, people I spoke to, the plays I've made. I'm happy.
That makes me happy that you feel that way, because you truly were a remarkable and sexy talent.
Thank you. Maybe a few less tattoos. Maybe that might be one of my regrets. But,
I am curious though. You obviously talked about coaching. I do have one question before we get into Rostermania. Just a couple of updates to update the podcast listeners and viewers. But I do want to know if you were, because London has been, I think with sort of with what you guys started in Splyce and Red Reserve, the London in our events there have been amazing, but the team since the CDL has been missing like an oomph, right? And whether that's roster decisions or what, it feels like it could be a powerhouse. If you were the London
Blackpool Royal Ravens?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I do want to know if you were the GM, like who would you entrust that franchise to now for like the future? Like who do you think could be, a successful player or players for them to build around? Because you
Are we
have
talking
all
just European or?
I mean, I guess so. I guess if
Okay.
if you were going to build a true London roster, yeah.
Okay.
Like who could be the next? Who's the next Zero and Bance in your eyes?
Jesus Christ.
There will be no zero
yeah.
bets ever
Ain't
again.
no one as good as me ever. So I'm not gonna go for players in the CDL because London can't
Yeah.
afford them. So, first of all, we're gonna look at the challenges and be like, yo, who's been the best player in challenges? All right, straight up, we're gonna go for Weeman.
Weeman, okay.
All right, let's start off. He's been the most consistent winning player for the last 2 years. I'm pretty sure, along with Stevo.
Okay.
And I feel like you can trust him with a lot of things. I'm still taking Nasty. Regardless of what anyone says about Nasty, genuinely one of the most talented players I've ever played with. He's got some. He has some
crazy
issues.
moments.
He has some issues. He gets in his own head a lot, but he just wants. But he's perfect. He tries being perfect, and I respect that from him. I'm bringing Afro back. Regardless of what happened this year, I'm bringing him back. I don't know if he likes me. Personally, I don't have an issue with him, but I don't know if he likes me, but I don't have an issue with anyone. People just dislike me for no reason. I said I wasn't going for anyone in the CDL, but I'm bringing Bance back.
Okay, I like it. El Capitan. El Capitan, bring him home. I could dig it.
Let Ben be the IGL. Let me be cap. Let me be the fucking captain of the ship. I'll start bossing people around.
You and Ben's dynamic, I just love, bro.
You'd probably be like, "Yo, Ben, dude, just let me play this map."
yeah, Ben, just like back in the day, you don't know what you're fucking doing on the map.
I'm like Ben. I'm 11-7 against ship. Fucking sit this one out, buddy. All right,
sit this one out.
Do I think it's a successor? I don't know because you never know on the game and stuff like that. But genuinely, just talk about roles, talent, and all that type of stuff.
No, I dig it. I was just curious hearing from you, because you could be in a position like that potentially as a coach or a GM, but I think we all want that London team to be the team that you guys kind of turn the culture into.
Well, I think well, personally, I think it's all chalk now.
Okay, well,
I from the rumors I saw, I don't think there's a London team anymore. So,
well, I guess we'll find out. Who knows?
We'll
have a Blackpool team.
Unbelievable.
We'll have a Blackpool team. So let's move on to the rest of Rostermania. Some crazy stuff did go down from last week. I guess let's start with subliners. I mean, again, nothing official quite yet. This is just rumors. This Priestess situation blows my mind. It truly does. Now listen, there's two things for me. I think if they truly, they heard some of the new rosters, they wanted to get Sib, cool. You know what? Let it rock. But that's not really what's being said. It's being said it's money, it's contracts. Nobody is taking a pay cut. Obviously, he won a world championship. If I was him, I'd be asking for more money as well. But it feels like it's two different things. And I'm just confused how players aren't. I mean, if it was my teammate and we just won 3 events in a world championship, I want the same roster. But that's where I'm at. It's just it's a very weird dynamic.
You also can't listen. These organizations, they're run by millionaires, billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like if you've got a contract that says you go up money next year if they re-sign you, and they're trying to make you take a pay cut, especially for being 4 of the best players in the world, just winning a world championship. I'm sorry, but that's unacceptable. Regardless of how much the other players are on, I just rumored to be on something crazy. He's the best player in the game.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if it's a money thing, which I'm pretty sure it is,
it's definitely a fucking money thing.
Yeah, it's a money thing. It definitely is. And the whole team, the whole team definitely wants to stay together. They just won champs. All right, best team in the game. You got to do everything in your power to keep that team. Everything in your power.
I mean, that's what I think. But at the same time, I don't know. Yeah. Does it feel? Yeah, I guess we're not. Who knows what's happening now? It could be a different situation. He might tweet in 5 minutes that he's good to go, but who knows?
And I said I still think he will stay. I think they'll come to some sort of agreement that he will stay because you don't break up a champs team, especially with the community. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, the last thing you want to do is piss off the COD community. You know, you get rid of Priester, and next thing you know, Sublime is the most hated team in the game. And no one wants that.
Yeah, it's just the type of player he is as well. I mean, just the intangibles that he does. And, we talked to him on the podcast, and he said the team was great. The dynamic was great. But
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
It strikes me, listen, we've seen this in major sports. Hydra's their guy. They paid Hydra a shitload of money. He is their superstar. He is deserving of that. But anytime you see this in major sports, usually once you win, you have to make a decision. Either money's going to appear from somewhere and you're going to pay some of those role players, usually like the NBA or something, you're going to pay them more money, or you have to finesse and you find more players to surround your superstar. We've seen it a million times. Everyone has a budget. I would love that they would just come up with whatever extra money or whatever they need to in this. But like outside of that, if they can't, if it's like a hard line, like this is the money they have, the only person that could solve this in my eyes, and I'm not like even talking shit to him with this because everyone needs to get theirs at the same time. The only person that probably solve is Hydra.
Yeah, I mean, Hydra
he'd have to take less money. He'd have to do what athletes have done, take less money, keep the team together. But that's not something that's like super common. Like it's happened. It exists in major sports, but like that is not super common. Because if I had to list the four of them of how their salaries probably were, and I could be completely full of shit. Hydra's number one by a fucking mile. Priest is second. Skies and Kismet are on the lower end. They probably had to pay Skies and Kismet more because Kismet, listen, I love Kismet, but he probably wasn't getting paid much at all. They definitely had to give him a bump. And it's just one of those things where I think the only person that could have offset it all was probably Hydra. And like that's the type of call that comes down to each individual. And that's a hard fucking conversation and decision.
And you're not gonna sit there and go like, yo, Paco, like
it's tough, bro.
Take a pay cut and we'll play together. Like if like I said, if I'm Paco, I'm being like, listen, these guys are ran by billionaires. Like if they want us to stay together, they want the best team in the game, they're gonna pay for the best team in the game.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's also like, hey, we can also just add Sib. I mean, right? Like that's the other thing. It's like I guess the replacement, like the players are probably like, I mean, I guess if we're gonna replace him with anyone, he's really good. We can make this work.
Yeah, that's no discredit in Sib. Obviously, they got to pick of whoever they want.
Yeah,
they just want champs. Anyone's gonna join them.
Especially if it's cheaper.
Yeah,
that is when you put a fuck ton of money into one person, like I think they have with Hydra. He's your guy. You're gonna have to finesse and make tough decisions. It's gonna be a thing as long as he is on a contract like that. It's just
I don't.
You can say billionaires like own it, but like everyone's got a fucking budget. It's just Joan I've run into with a billion different things. We work for fucking Call of Duty with Activision Blizzard, and some of the conversations I've had over tiny amounts of money that are so fucking stupid, like. Everyone has a budget, bro. Just
of course. I mean, I had mine with London. They offered me a free 3-year contract, and it went like something like 80, 90, 100. And I was like, yeah. I mean, like it's good, but like I'm fucking me, Like I was like, right, let's go like 120, 120. I was like, let's go 100, 120, 140. I was like, what's that? Like, it's like an extra like 50K. They were like, nah, we'll look elsewhere. I'm like, hey, bro, like Jesus Christ, like
it seems so minimal, but like just there's a line somewhere. I mean, there has to be a line somewhere, otherwise, like you just won't run out of money. There has to be a line.
Another
become red reserve. Oh no, go ahead.
This surprised the hell out of me. The next one is potentially an Optic Kenny. Obviously with Drazah potentially on a FaZe, then Sib to New York. Kenny has appeared to be a favorite for Optic. Again, not official yet. Listen,
you love Ken. You fucking love Ken.
I love Ken. I think we just heard Sam talk about it. I think he's an unreal COD mind. I do have a couple of worries. One is that like he is a very system guy, and with what we heard from Optic last year, with Ray, who likes to build systems, that may not work. But maybe because it's coming from a player, from someone like Ken, they can make it happen. And then individually, just didn't have his best year last year, but I imagine he can turn that around. I would just be stoked if I was an Optic fan, because I think like you're going to have a good fundamental team with Ken on your squad. I just think that's what he does, what he brings to a roster, no matter what.
I really do hope he doesn't go.
Really?
And I know it's Optic,
Mm-hmm.
but everyone's left him on 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
That's his shit now.
Oh, you think like that's his home?
Like,
That's
build
his
around him.
home. Yeah, build around
Yeah, it's just
him.
tough though when everyone leaves. Like, what other options does he have? Right? It's just tough
I
to
know,
build.
I know, but like,
Yeah.
I look at it the way as like, LA Thieves are a powerhouse along with FaZe and Optic, and
Yeah.
you know, you look at the 100 Thieves team compared to FaZe, and you're like, it's good, it's good, but you look at FaZe like, the Invincibles, you know, the best team in the game, no one can ever beat them. But I feel like if Kenny stayed there, he could get anyone he wanted, within reason, obviously, within reason. But like,
Yeah, unless that's the reason why they're all leaving. Like maybe maybe just what we talked about with New York is the same thing happening there.
yeah, maybe it is. I think I did hear from on Twitter that they had to take a pay cut after they won champs.
Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe
it's
that's
just the economics. Everyone's trying to figure it out.
It's
Well, yeah,
you know,
every esports like bleeding, bro. There's
esports is a weird esports is a weird place because you know you need the players and you need coaches, but like, the players, what messed COD up was the inflation that wasn't deserved.
Mhm.
That's what messed
100%.
COD up.
There was a crazy spike that happened, and
Yeah,
now everything's-
Crazy spike. Hey, happy for the players though. I'm glad you guys made that cash. The last one, as you said, is draw. Did we talk about this last week, Clint?
I don't think it was a rumor yet when we talked about it. I don't think so. I think I brought it up a couple times previously, thinking I like it. And I don't think anything's finable with all the baiting and stuff on Twitter. I mean, it kind of seems like it's happening just based on like tweets and shit.
Yeah, is Drazah to FaZe?
Listen, I fucking love this because he's what they need. I think they need a little swagger. They need someone with some edge. They can actually be the fucking villains, and getting booed makes a lot more sense to me now if you have somebody like Drazah. But like, I just want to say, if this happens, and like, if it's true, he had the choice of like Optic or the choice of FaZe, that I respect the living hell out of him because he could have chose to be the most loved player in the game or the most hated. And he chose winning. He chose being the most hated. And I respect it, bro. Like,
I mean, you join Optic, you know what you're getting. You know, you're everyone's favorite player for a whole year. But we're not gonna act like, you know, people have done that without Optic. You know, like Pred didn't join Optic, but he's got loads of fans. You know, Drazah streamed.
He almost joined Optic.
Yeah. But like, you know, I mean, you know, he's probably on Optic already too.
Yeah.
What people need to realize as well, that this off season is like 6 months long. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a long ass off season. So, you know, a lot can change, but I feel like the only players you're gonna see get moved about are the superstars. Drazah, Pred.
they're the first dominoes, right?
Well, yeah, that's
Drazah, Pred, Envoy. I feel like they're the only three right now. Like even Sib's gone under the radar a little bit. You know,
yeah, for sure.
You know, the only three people I've heard really, or two people actually, is just Pred and Draz. And it's just like, you know, you compare it to other sports, the superstars get picked up first, and then everyone else falls into place. You know, it's a 6 month off season. You probably won't see any teams buying any players or getting any players for the next 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the top four, because this would pretty much wrap that up. Because you know, we talked about Ultra potentially with Envoy if that happens, but I mean, outside of the top four,
that guy.
No one has any idea. We do have the first official signing of the year. That was Snoopy to Boston, so it feels like they're building around him.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably the right call, and it feels like Boston is hungry. It's a hungry franchise right now. We've heard some, you know, that a team that is putting out money is this team, but maybe they just don't have that culture yet where that's where people want to go. But keep your eyes on Boston. They might have a really good team. Outside of that, nobody has a clue. There is nothing. I've seen people try to build teams. It is going to be a weird off season. And like you said, I don't think this is going to get figured out for a long time for a lot of these teams.
So is this like probably the craziest maybe off season we're gonna have like once everything's done? You think since like I guess like the
5v5 to 4v4.
yes, I was gonna say like those like kind of artificial crazy years because they were forced to be crazy because of like the change in team numbers. Like this might be one of the wilder ones. Like since
the start of the CDL was pretty wild too.
I think this is going to be a boring off season in terms of what teams get created. I think your most exciting part of the off season is the superstars going to Optic and all that like stuff like that. But like if you're being like serious, are you gonna like you know? Do you personally like give a fuck who London sign?
Well, I think it's more just the amount of different teams.
The amount of teams that can be made is going to be crazy.
Yeah. I think that's what we're just like. It's going to be all over the place. Now
I'm
that
just letting you know,
I care more about the contenders than I do who the fuck London signs. Yes.
I'm just letting you know that if an expansion happens, I'm deleting my retirement tweet and we're coming back, baby.
Oh, suddenly he's speaking Spanish or French or some shit.
Oh yeah, no, you can't bonjour if I play Wii.
Me llamo Trei.
Exactly. So yes. So that is basically all we have. I don't know if we're gonna have Rostermania news. Maybe those lineups get officially get announced, but outside of that, it could be a while. So lock in, be patient. Who knows what's gonna happen? Before we let you go, Zero, we do have some community questions coming on in that we're gonna get to before we end. So let's do this first one. This first one is from Jay. He wants to know if you could run it back on any COD title you competed in, what would it be and why? I think this is a pretty easy answer.
Wait, what do you think I'm going to say?
I would say IW because you're an MVP, but maybe I'm wrong.
IW or World War II? Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Why IW? Just because I genuinely felt like it was a fun-ass game. It was just straight gunfight, straight world stars, jetpacks, everything like that, and I was the dog's bollocks.
You were
like,
good.
let's be real.
Yeah.
And then World War II, I just genuinely think I'm gonna back myself and say I was a top 5 sub on that game, and the fact that it was just a good competitive game.
Makes sense.
Okay.
This next one is from Calvin. He wants to know your EU/UK COD dream team.
Dream team. Am I on it? Or...
You could put yourself on it. I'm down for it.
You and a romantic couple at this point.
All right.
So, yeah.
UK EU COD dream team. All right. So you got me running main.
Mm-hmm.
You got Hydra and Bance running subs.
Okay, I like it.
And then, I mean, I was a flex back in the day, wasn't I? Let's bring Jamie Craven in too. I'll up the speed. I'll go back to my flex days. We'll start moving about a bit
Insight
more.
in?
Yeah, me, Insight, Bance, and Hydra.
I love it.
In our primes, though. In our primes. Just kidding.
Of course.
In our primes.
Of course. I dig it. And then this last one is from a RIP Xbox user. He wants to know why FaZe, Black Ops 4 FaZe was your favorite team. I think you touched on it briefly, but
everything was just there. The vibes. There was never a dull moment. We never argued really ever.
Mm.
And I feel like that's pretty special to having a team. It was all about making sure Asum and Cell were always comfortable and letting them do what they wanted to do. I think like Cell's first event, we played Optic or something like that. He had like a 0.34 in a series, and I looked at him, I was like, "You're the best in the game." And then from that moment on, I don't think he's ever went negative, ever.
Still, yeah. I mean, guys putting up some numbers. That is for sure.
Probably not. If he 1v4 into hardpoint, he'd find a fucking way to be positive.
Yeah.
Oh man. But that is it. I mean, thank you so much, Trey, for joining us, hanging out with us these last couple of hours, sharing some great stories.
It was an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure, for real.
You listen, your career was brilliant. You did some stuff no one had ever done from you before. You took risks, like you said. You tried. You gave it your all. You had some stumbles late because unfortunate circumstances, like the visa thing. Like it just got kind of fucky late, but like. You had a hell of a career, man. And I don't know where everything's going to go with the coaching and content stuff, but best of luck. You've got a fantastic personality. You are a very handsome man. You're gonna do just fine. If you ever need like advice or want to chat, or if I can help in any way, brother, you and I have always connected well. Just reach out, dude.
Of course, I appreciate you both.
Maven, do your dumb shit and take us out of here.
I just ordered $55 of Shake Shack, 2 double cheeseburgers, a Diet Coke, and 2 fries. It's going to be here in approximately 5 minutes. I'm going to stuff my fat fucking face like a pig, and it's going to be glorious. Everyone have a great night.